Let's begin. Library of Heaven's Path, Chapter 361 to 370. Thank you. Emperor Shen Ling sighed in relief, quickly approached the bronze tripod, and brought it closer. At this point, he had already gathered 3 cauldrons, with ancient runes flowing on their bodies, emitting a bluish-gray light, seemingly narrating some special secret. Master Qian, Master Shi wants to kill me. Using this bronze tripod as compensation should be fine, right? Zhang Zan looked over with a beaming smile. Of course. Qian Yuhuan awkwardly smiled and nodded repeatedly. He had researched this bronze tripod for 3 days already and had no clue. Even if he continued, it likely wouldn't yield any results. Rather than offending a mysterious clan member, it seemed better to earn some easy favor. Thank you, Master Qian. Zhang Zan grasped into the air, catching the last bronze tripod and lowered his head to observe it. Gently touching with his palm, he could clearly feel the strength in the runes, flowing like water, unceasingly. Brother Zhang, could you possibly sell me this last bronze tripod? Emperor Shen Ling stepped forward. He had already obtained 3, just lacking this last one. He could fully comprehend the heavenly destiny of ceremony and thus become the ultimate winner. Previously, if the other party refused, he might have taken it by force, but now, with one person having killed so many, he was somewhat fearful. Of course. Zhang Zan nodded slightly. Emperor Shen Ling's face showed delight, and looking around, he said, "Everyone, please lend the resources you have with you to me. After leaving this place, the Zhou dynasty will repay you double." Rao Epsilon S. No problem. We can lend, Your Highness, but could you please write an IOU? Everyone hesitated for a moment, then all nodded simultaneously. Given the current situation, with Emperor Shen Ling so dominant, not lending would mean, relying on the 3 bronze tripods, he could eventually comprehend the heavenly destiny of ceremony anyway. Instead of the icing on the cake, it was better to send charcoal in snowy weather. That's easy. Emperor Shen Ling sighed in relief. It was just an IOU. Once he gained the inheritance, comprehended the second-level heavenly destiny, and with the support of the Zhou dynasty, this amount of resources was nothing. Moreover, once he took them as disciples, who would dare to ask him for repayment? With a rustling sound, following the signing of the IOU, a huge pile of resources reappeared in front of everyone, like a small mountain. This was nearly everything these people could offer. The resources acquired from entering Zealand Valley had been almost depleted by buying the bronze tripods before, and now, the resources accumulated outside the valley were also completely brought out. However, these items, if they could be traded for the opportunity to practice the second-level heavenly destiny, were also worth it. Are these resources enough? Seeing the mountainous pile of materials, Emperor Shen Ling looked over again. Of course. Zhang Zan smiled slightly, his palm grasping into the air. The mountain-like materials were received into the new world, and the next moment, the bronze tripod was thrown over. Emperor Shen Ling quickly leapt up and hurriedly caught it. It's a success. His eyes reddened with excitement. Emperor Shen Ling waveringly placed the last cauldron next to the other 3. Buzz. A buzzing sound, the cauldron vibrated slightly, emitting a gentle light, and stepping forward, Emperor Shen Ling bowed fist and palm. Ancestor Zhou Ji, I have obtained the 4 bronze tripods, I hope you will descend and grant the inheritance. The colorful lights in the sky showed no reaction, as if they hadn't heard him. What's going on? Emperor Shen Ling was stunned. He had almost sold the entire dynasty to gather these 4 bronze tripods in his hands, thinking he would soon succeed and soar upward. He had not expected this outcome at all. It was as if all his efforts had been utterly wasted. As he puzzled over this, a tall figure in a long robe slowly emerged amidst the colorful lights. It was an old man in his 50s, with green whiskers, tall and thin, and bright, piercing eyes. It's that Mandate Chaos Master. Among the crowd, a Vice Hall Master from the Heaven Mandate Hall couldn't help but shout out. This figure, who had previously pursued Shi Yunjing, was none other than the Mandate Chaos Master who had escaped to this place. They had not found him and thought he had died here, but unexpectedly, he appeared at the crucial moment. Indeed, seeing this familiar figure, Zhang Zan breathed a sigh of relief. Upon reaching the mountaintop, he had guessed that Empyrean Kong Shi must be hiding nearby. He had searched everywhere but never expected him to be hiding within the colorful lights. Ignoring everyone's shock, Empyrean Kong Shi grabbed with one hand, and the 4 bronze tripods immediately flew up, hovering above him. The next moment, the vast colorful lights gathered like rivers into the ocean, madly surging into his body. As the lights were absorbed, the entire Zealand Valley shook violently, as if it could collapse at any moment. He has comprehended the heavenly destiny of ceremony. Wasn't it said that obtaining the 4 bronze tripods would allow one to forge this second-level heavenly destiny? Why did Prince Shen fail, but he succeeded? I don't know, what's happening? Seeing the scene before them, everyone was somewhat confused. Emperor Shen Ling was even more frantic. This is impossible, the heavenly destiny of ceremony is mine, nobody can take it away. Leaping up, Emperor Shen Ling soared into the sky and stabbed at the floating Empyrean Kong Shi with his sword. A powerful sword chi formed a sharp blade. Empyrean Kong Shi made no move, but the 4 bronze tripods, sensing the sneak attack, crashed down thunderously. Bang! The sword chi shot by Emperor Shen Ling immediately shattered, and the next moment, he spat blood from his mouth and nose, plummeting from the sky. Defeated in an instant, he had no power to resist. Why? I don't believe it. Emperor Shen Ling's eyes were bloodshot as he struggled to rise again. To gather these 4 cauldrons, he had spent all his efforts, even staking the future of the entire Zhou Yi dynasty, never dreaming it would end like this. All efforts without my part, in vain did I labor. You knew all along, didn't you? Even if I gathered all 4 bronze tripods, I still couldn't obtain the inheritance, right? Thinking of something, Emperor Shen Ling quickly turned his head to look at Zhang Zan not far away. This man had both strength and wisdom but had never actively fought for the cauldrons. Instead, he maneuvered among the people and gained many benefits, clearly guessing something early on. Otherwise, faced with a second-level heavenly destiny, no one would be so composed. Didn't Zhou Ji say it before? To obtain the inheritance, 2 conditions are needed. First, obtain the 4 bronze tripods on the wall and comprehend the ancient runes on them. Second, gain his approval. Zhang Zan looked over indifferently. You only obtained the 4 bronze tripods without comprehending the runes on them, nor did you gain his approval. Naturally, you cannot inherit. This. Emperor Shen Ling swayed, spitting out a mouthful of fresh blood. The other party was right, Zhou Ji's figure had indeed said these words when it appeared, but he had misunderstood it as just obtaining the 4 bronze tripods to gain the inheritance. To inherit the second-level heavenly destiny. Zhang Zan shook his head, his eyes showing a trace of pity. You are not fated for it. You. Empyrean Kong wiped the fresh blood from the corner of his mouth, his eyes filled with ferocity as he pointed to Kong Shi in the air. Whether I have the fate or not isn't for you to say, nor him, only I have the right to say. Boom. Accompanied by a booming sound, the spiritual energy around the prince immediately whipped up like a tornado, before surging down in the next moment, similar to a dam bursting. With the origin chi tumultuously churning beneath, everyone around hastily retreated in unison, their faces paling. Merely absorbing origin chi forced people to retreat, even without exchanging a single blow. The figure before them was simply too terrifying. It's an origin chi vacuum. How much origin chi must one absorb to create a vacuum? People cried out in shock. Zhang Zan looked up, seeing the surrounding origin chi to have formed a vacuum due to excessive absorption, a situation that was supposed to be an encounter once in 10,000 years for others, yet he often witnessed it. Because it was the same whenever he practiced. Boom. While the crowd was in shock, Empyrean Kong's strength continued to grow stronger, breaking through the shackles of Galaxy 6 Dan in the blink of an eye to reach 7 Dan, yet showing no sign of stopping and still improving swiftly. What kind of power is this? Could it be that Prince Shen Ling is more than just Galaxy 7 Dan? Everyone realized that something was amiss. If it was just due to an emotional surge breaking through the limits of Galaxy 6 Dan, it should have stopped at 7 Dan, but the speed of absorbing spiritual energy didn't decrease at all, indicating that 7 Dan was far from his limit. Something's not right. Zhang Zan frowned, about to say something when suddenly Empyrean Kong's voice transmission rang in his ear. He is not Shen Ling, he must be someone else in disguise. Disguise? Zhang Zan narrowed his eyes. Right, if he could disguise as someone else, naturally others could disguise as him too. The real Prince Shen Ling, he had heard of, was a super genius who rose to fame 20 years ago, unmatched and unparalleled, and though not as advanced as Yan Sansan, was not far behind. A circumflex NBE circumflex S. Nevertheless, reaching the peak of Galaxy 6 Dan after 20 years was already the limit, and even if by chance he broke through to 7 Dan, it shouldn't exceed by much. But at this moment, the person in front of him was not fazed by being at Galaxy 7 Dan at all. Once he fully recovers his strength, we will all be killed. Empyrean Kong, also losing his composure from earlier, made a gesture as though wielding a sword and gently pointed with his finger. A carving knife suddenly appeared out of nowhere, breaking through the air. He could write with a brush, but he was more proficient with carving using a knife. This celestial treasure was forged after arriving in the source world and was extremely powerful. Appearing abruptly, it transformed into a dark glow and formed a lethal technique in the blink of an eye. The pathos of Heaven's sword technique. Knowing he was right, Zhang Zan didn't hesitate. The cold nether sword broke through the air, and the Yuking sword technique was activated in the blink of an eye, pushed to its limits. Asking for resources earlier had completely offended him. Once this guy recovered his strength and killed Kong Shi to seize the fragments of the heavens, he would certainly kill Zhang Zan. The only way to stay alive was to strike first, to attack while crossing the river, to strike the midst of the stream. It's too late for you to react now. Shen Ling flicked his fingers, a Heavenly Destiny Luo book appeared, and in the blink of an eye, it exploded, forming a huge light film. Ding 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 ding. The sword chi and carving knife landed on it, producing the sound of metal clashing. The light film is impenetrable as if it were made of copper walls and iron barriers. This amulet's flame is nearly spent. Once it's out, I'll recover my strength, and then, your death is nigh. Emperor Shen Ling's eyes were ferocious. Knowing that the other party was speaking the truth, Zhang Zan's face turned ashen. Without any further reservation or concealment, he kept thrusting with the sword in his hand, turning countless sword chi into a vast rain of blades. In the new world, numerous mainlands burned, and the sword chi became sharper and sharper. However, when it landed on the light film, it was like raindrops falling on water, stirring up waves of ripples. It's useless. Still useless. More than a dozen continuous strikes, even a fighter of Galaxy 8 Dan might not be able to withstand, yet the light film before him did not bear a single mark of damage. Not only him, Empyrean Kong Shi's carving knife also kept falling, and moments later, his face also turned unsightly. Even if he has inherited the second-level Heavenly Destiny, it requires time to completely forge, and before success, his strength wouldn't improve much. If they can't stop him, as soon as the opponent fully recovers his strength, even if they obtain Joji's acknowledgement and the Heavenly Destiny, they will be killed before succeeding. He could very well be a Life Sea Realm powerhouse. Empyrean Kong Shi's telepathic message continued to ring out. Life Sea Realm. Zhang Zan lifted his head in confusion. Empyrean Kong Shi nodded. Source Pool Realm, Galaxy Realm, Life Sea Realm, are the three major cultivation realms in the Source world. Anyone at the Life Sea Realm level has broken through Galaxy 9 Dan. Zhang Zan's vision darkened. Against such a powerful foe, even if he burned the entire suspended realm along with the new world, he wouldn't stand a chance. Second-level Heavenly Destiny is way too powerful. To obtain it, one must sail through numerous tribulations. It's bound to be fraught with various life-threatening challenges, which likely constitute what is known as a human tribulation. In other words, a struggle for the Heavenly Destiny. The stronger the Heavenly Destiny, the fiercer the struggle, a necessary ordeal. Empyrean Kong Shi shook his head. Zhang Zan remained silent. He had read similar books before. The more formidable the Heavenly Destiny, the more contenders there would be. To completely forge it and successfully cultivate it, one needed even greater opportunities and luck. That's why, to become a true powerhouse, destiny is of paramount importance. Without opportunity in one's destiny, no matter how hard one works, it's futile. If one has opportunity and combines it with hard work, success will follow naturally. This appearance of Shen Ling, being tied to a struggle for heavenly destiny, naturally means his strength wouldn't be as simple as just being at the Galaxy Realm. Indeed, he might very well be at the Life Sea Realm. It's not something Empyrean Kong Shi can decide, but a trial within inheriting the heavenly destiny, which is inevitable. If he really is a Life Sea Realm powerhouse and we let him recover completely, we will have no chance of victory, we must break the Heavenly Destiny Luo book and slay him before he recovers. Empyrean Kong Shi said. But, this Heavenly Destiny Luo book is too strong, with our current strength, we simply can't break through, unless our strength also breaks through the galaxy realm. Zhang Zan bitterly smiled. He was advancing quite rapidly, but breaking through Galaxy 7 Dan wasn't easy, let alone 9 Dan. This meant that charging into the Life Sea realm in a short period was nearly impossible. Therefore, breaking through the light film and killing the opponent almost seemed like a pipe dream. Yes, it seems that this heavenly destiny is also difficult for me to inherit. Empyrean Kong Shi shook his head. He had entered this place 2 months ago, comprehended the rules, grasped the heavenly destiny of ceremony, and gained complete recognition from Zhou Ji. If, at the last moment, he can't succeed, it would be a great blow to his stamina. But this was a necessity, their foundations were simply too weak. Facing a true powerhouse, there was no way to resist. No wait, our goal is to kill him, if we can't break through, we just need to find a way to prevent him from recovering his strength, won't that do it? Suddenly thinking of something, Zhang Zan spoke up. Unable to break through the Heavenly Destiny Luo book, it would be impossible to slay the opponent, yet by merely delaying the opponent's recovery of cultivation, dragging it until the light film shatters, preventing their cultivation from breaking through Galaxy 7 Dan, there would be no need to be concerned. Easy to know, difficult to do. Empyrean Kong frowned. Everyone understands the principle, but it's not necessarily so simple to execute. Actually, it's not that hard. Zhang Zan's eyes released a sharp glint. All his resources should either be used for soul rituals or given to me. It's almost impossible for him to recover strength through medicine. The only way is to absorb the leaked origin chi from the air. If this origin chi is also gone, wouldn't it be impossible for him to break through? No matter how strong his past power was, now with only Galaxy 7 Dan in cultivation, to recover, he must have enough energy supply. That's probably the main reason he brought so many resources. Therefore, as long as the route is cut off, the so-called breakthrough will become a joke. Origin Chi gone. Before Empyrean Kong could recover, he noticed Zhang Zan, who had been continuously attacking, suddenly stopped. Sitting cross-legged on the ground, the next moment, the origin chi that was crazily surging into Emperor Shen Ling was visibly rushing towards him. If previously it was a single-channel flood discharge, now it was a double channel, and crucially, this channel was even broader. In the blink of an eye, the tornado-like origin chi in the sky surged rapidly into Zhang Zan's body. Empyrean Kong realized and praised silently in his heart, equally paying no heed to attacking, and took a deep breath. Whoosh! Like a whale swallowing water, the origin chi that Emperor Shen Ling was absorbing immediately changed direction and surged towards his position. After a few breaths, 3 streams of origin chi dragons appeared in the sky, crazily plunging down. Initially, those with Empyrean Kong and Zhang Zan were somewhat weak, but as time passed, they grew stronger and broader, whereas the one above Emperor Shen Ling's head grew weaker, as if about to stop flowing. With such low strength, how can you achieve this? Emperor Shen Ling was full of disbelief. His strength was mighty, life sea opened, constantly surging with origin chi. The two before him, clearly inferior in cultivation, could also rapidly devour origin chi, even more powerfully. How did they manage that? The origin chi in Zealand Valley was abundant, but it also had a certain amount. Continuing like this, let alone his return to Life Sea realm, it was uncertain whether he could break through Galaxy 7 Dan. Ra Nu Obes. This was cutting off his power from the roots. No, I must stop them. Emperor Shen Ling was anxious. With his strength, to absorb faster and turn passive into active was definitely unachievable. Since he couldn't surpass them in speed, then make the opponent's speed slower. To become number 1, there were only 2 methods, either to become stronger yourself or make others weaker. You want to inherit the heavenly destiny of ceremony, right? Devouring origin chi, right? I'll let you absorb to your death. A fierce light appeared in his eyes. Emperor Shen Ling suddenly raised both hands and tore fiercely towards the sky. The river of destiny, come forth. Reaching the Life Sea realm, one could tear apart phantasm space. Stepping into the river of destiny, he was no exception. Now, unable to think of another way, he could only rely on this method to stop the opponent. As his intent broke through phantasm space, a majestic river immediately fell from the sky, its powerful aura filling the air. In an instant, everyone present immediately felt as if countless soldiers in the sky, holding weapons, could descend at any moment. The aura of killing pervaded, filled with a vigorous intent for battle. Is this war destiny? Zhang Zan was stunned. No, this is one of the 5 ceremonies, military ceremony destiny. Empyrean Kong recognized it. 5 ceremonies. Zhang Zan didn't understand. Empyrean Kong didn't waste words, explaining concisely, the heavenly destiny of ceremony is divided into 5 branches: propriety, funeral ceremony, military ceremony, courtesy, and celebration. With the demise of our predecessor Zhou Ji, propriety, funeral, military reduced to 5th level destiny due to the loss of most of their heritage. Bin and Jia ceremonies combined to barely qualify as grade -4. Initially, I thought this Emperor Shen Ling was just an ordinary cultivator, never expecting he actually possessed a part of the heritage of the heavenly destiny of ceremony. Zhang Zan suddenly understood. Powerful destinies, all formed from many branches, this was also the main reason behind the existence of 10,000 Sabers Alliance. Previously, people like Mo Bai found 12 statues, which must be one branch of the heavenly destiny of ceremony. He brought out the River of Destiny, firstly, wanting to display his origins to gain approval from predecessor Zhou Ji, secondly, attempting to contaminate origin Qi, making us unwittingly absorb this type of yuan power during our continued absorption of strength, thus affecting our practice. Empyrean Kong's face was solemn. This was like a snake and a human fighting for food. The snake spits in the food. Continuing to eat, one would be poisoned, while the snake remains unscathed. Then we can also release heavenly mandate vitality, let him absorb. Zhang Zan said. Empyrean Kong shook his head. Firstly, our strength cannot summon the River of Destiny, and secondly, even if summoned, the heavenly destiny we practiced previously doesn't match with the heavenly destiny of ceremony. Not only would it be ineffective, but it would also invite suppression from Zealand Valley. This is the main base of the heavenly destiny of ceremony. Releasing other destinies here is tantamount to seeking death. What should we do? Zhang Zan frowned. No way, we can't stop it now. Empyrean Kong smiled wryly. I can only try to forge the destiny as fast as possible, with the hope of succeeding before he completely recovers his strength. But, this is too difficult. 2nd level heavenly destiny, even for me, to completely inherit would take years. Hoping to succeed in just a moment, it's completely impossible. Empyrean Kong said, his expression turning ugly. It wasn't that he wasn't trying. But the opponent was too damaging, using a tactic that harms both enemies and oneself by 800, even the strongest person couldn't cope. I'll give it a try. After hesitating for a moment, Zhang Zan thought of something, raising his hand and grabbing towards the river in the sky. Sizzling. In the next moment, dozens of strands of pure heavenly mandate vitality landed in his palm, incessantly twisting like squirming snakes. You haven't studied the heavenly destiny of ceremony. This kind of attribute-specific heavenly mandate vitality can't be forged. Guessing his intent, Empyrean Kong explained. Ignoring his words, Zhang Zan's intentions shifted, and the heavenly mandate vitality in his palm immediately surged into his mind, scattering everywhere. The heavenly mandate vitality he had absorbed before was either purified or personally comprehended, never had he tried uncomprehended ones. Just as he was trying to grasp these strands of military ceremony destiny, considering using the Library of Heaven's path to form a river, his mind shook, and several books abruptly appeared, swallowing these strands of heavenly mandate vitality. Is this forged? Zhang Zan stood stunned, then looked up at the River of Destiny in the sky, his eyes ablaze. It seems the Library of Heaven's path can purify attribute-specific heavenly mandate vitality. If I devour this entire river, how many books would be formed? Heavenly mandate vitality with attributes, just like Junchi with attributes, cannot be forged by different inheritances. Previously, Zhang Zan had no way to deal with it, but now he discovers that as long as it is collected into the library, it can be formed into books, which immediately excites him. Forming books means complete purification, that is, turning them into his own possession. In this case, doesn't it mean that what is toxic to others, to him, becomes a continual resource? What a good person. Such a great person indeed. Zhang Zan becomes thrilled. Just worrying about not having enough heavenly mandate vitality, the opponent offers up a long river. If he can devour it all, it would be no less than hundreds of millions of strands, perhaps even more. What? Seeing his expression, Empyrean Kong is full of confusion, just about to inquire further, he sees the young man, without a word, jumping straight towards the river of destiny in front of him. This is you seeking your own death. A fierce light flashes in Shen Ling's eyes. Seen seeking death, but never like this. Bringing disaster upon oneself is beyond help. Coldly snorting in his heart while planning to trap the other party in his river of destiny, unable to escape, he suddenly sees the other party, using the momentum of the jump, suddenly opens his mouth wide. Whoosh! The vast river water, at least 1/10 of it gets swallowed by him in one breath. Countless heavenly mandate vitalities crazily flood into his body, as if a river was diverted to another lake. Quote? Shen Ling is dumbfounded. This is the heavenly mandate vitality he has forged with countless efforts. Shouldn't this guy be poisoned or punished by the rules after absorbing it? Why is there no issue at all, and he even looks excited? Puzzled, he sees this person unable to control his posture, falling from the sky, and the next moment, leaping up again and fiercely inhaling, like a giraffe eating while jumping. Eyelids twitching, Shen Ling finds himself at a loss for words. At this moment, he feels his understanding of the military ceremony destiny is rapidly decreasing, continuously dropping. If previously his understanding of this kind of destiny reached the 5th level, now, his realm is visibly rapidly dropping. Peak of 5th level. 5th level. Intermediate stage. In just over a dozen breaths, he falls from the 5th level primary stage to the 4th realm peak. With the understanding of destiny reducing, any hope for a breakthrough in power becomes a luxury. His eyelids twitch, Shen Ling urgently looks up, only to see the previously glorious river of destiny, under the opponent's devouring, has already disappeared by more than half. If it was previously lush and plump, now it's all skin and bones, on the verge of collapsing. A mouthful of fresh blood is spat out. What situation is this? This is my river of destiny. Outsiders should be thrown into chaos and go berserk on the spot, right? Why does he absorb so much without any issues, and instead, becomes more and more excited? With anger and shock in his heart, under the violent fluctuation of emotions, the river of destiny can no longer maintain itself, and with a roaring sound, it vanishes between heaven and earth, as if it had never appeared. Such a pity. Seeing the river disappearing while still absorbing, Zhongzhan feels slightly disappointed and can't help but speak up. Your Highness Prince Shen, keep deploying it, I can continue. Shen Ling's eyelids twitch, revealing a murderous look. You can handle it, but I can't. Boom. Just at this moment, the time for the heavenly destiny Luo book ends, a crisp sound echoes through the air, and a dazzling light film disappears in front of everyone. Dead. Knowing there's no more protection, only confrontation remains, Shen Ling's face contorts with ferocity, and he bellows madly. At this moment, his cultivation, although not fully recovered to its pinnacle, had reached Galaxy 9 Dan. With a single punch, layers of ripples instantly appeared in the air, resembling the undulating waves of water. Knowing the immense power of this move, Empyrean Kong Shi paid no heed to further conversation, flipping his palm. Boom. When the two forces collided, Empyrean Kong Shi was immediately sent flying backwards, plummeting hundreds of meters away. Come here. Prince Shen Ling spread his fingers and reached towards the 4 bronze tripods in the air. The bronze tripods kept shaking. Zhongzhan wielded his sword art, and the whistling sword chi once again fell like raindrops. I've said it before, this heavenly destiny is mine. Prince Shen Ling advanced, and Zhongzhan immediately felt an extraordinary force piercing into his mind. Not daring to take it head-on, he hastily retreated, yet he still couldn't help but feel intense pain in his mind, causing his body to fall uncontrollably. At Galaxy 9 Dan, even though he had just broken through to Galaxy 6 Dan, it was nearly impossible to win. Unless Yu King Destiny breaks through to the 4th level, his cultivation could also break through again. However, having just broken through to the 3rd level after entering Zealand Valley, it was not so easy to make further significant progress. Burn the new world. With a gleam in his eye, Zhongzhan intended to once again burn the new world to increase his strength, his mind stirring. Didn't he obtain countless artifacts? Would burning these items not have the same effect as burning the new world? After all, his goal was to increase his strength. And these artifacts contained vast amounts of origin chi and force of origin. Thinking this, without much hesitation, he spurred his mind, and countless herbs and artifacts immediately began burning, converting into streams of pure strength. Rumbling thunder. With the replenishment of these resources, the new world expanded again visibly swiftly. Though the heavens and earth last forever, this resentment is endless. Zhang Zan's gaze sharpened, his formidable sword art deployed again, and in the blink of an eye, his sword chi formed a black line, rushing straight forward with a shriek. Think you can kill me? You're not qualified yet. Prince Shen Ling roared angrily, launching another punch. The two powers met instantly, and the surrounding spectators only felt a storm-like aura, compelling them involuntarily to step back. Who won? I don't know, but I guess that Zhang Zan is definitely going to die. The gap between Galaxy 6 Dan and 8 Dan is just too big. Stabilizing their stances, everyone looked at the two fighters in the center, both standing proudly motionless. All faces looked at each other while simultaneously sighing. Zhang Zan indeed was the most talented young person they had ever seen, it's just a pity his cultivation was still too low. If he had broken through to 7 Dan, or even higher, maybe he could have won, but today. Shaking their heads, everyone was feeling emotional when they suddenly saw Prince Shen Ling's fierce face, his knees bending slowly as he knelt down. Soon after, a crack appeared on his chest and thick blood spurted out. You. Lowering his head to look at his chest, Shen Ling's face was full of disbelief. He could never have imagined that despite having recovered to a Galaxy 9 Dan, he would be killed by a Galaxy 6 Dan youth with a single sword strike. Everyone was also stunned, their eyes wide open, speechless. It was inconceivable. Although highly talented individuals can challenge beyond their levels, the higher the cultivation, the smaller the barriers that can be overcome. Normally, not to mention Galaxy 6 Dan, even a Galaxy 8 Dan fighter would find it nearly impossible to confront a 9 Dan, yet this person did it for real. And even managed to kill his opponent with a single sword strike. What kind of talent and capability was this? In an instant, everyone looked towards the young man not too far away, all displaying a look of respect and admiration. This is our teacher. How ridiculous that he wanted to take me as a disciple initially, and I was unwilling. Yu Xiaoyu and Lu Mingyu murmured to themselves simultaneously. Our Fu family, it seems we have truly found a great support. Earlier I was wondering why Yingying chose someone with such low cultivation. After all that fuss, he turns out to be a true genius. The people of the Fu family looked at one another, excitement evident on their faces. While their family appeared glorious on the surface, in reality, they relied on many powers to remain unchallenged, but now, this standout individual closely related to them would deter anyone from targeting the women of the Fu family. This matter must be reported to the headquarters of the Heaven Mandate Hall at once. With such talent, we must not make an enemy of him, we must foster a good relationship. At this moment, everyone at the Heaven Mandate Hall was at a loss for words. Just moments ago, Zhang Zan publicly executed Shi Yunjing, which made them furious and eager for revenge, but now that feeling had faded. He could kill even those of the Galaxy 9 Dan, many of them together wouldn't be enough to take him on. Look quickly, those bronze tripods. In the midst of their shock, a sudden shout rang out. Unable to help themselves, everyone looked up and saw the bronze tripods floating in the air suddenly shake, then fly towards the surrounding mountainsides, embedding themselves back into the mountains. Boom! As the copper tripod returned, the ground shook immediately, and in the next moment, colorful flowing lights from the sky descended fiercely, transforming into a pure white light that rushed towards Empyrean Kongxi standing not far away. In an instant, Empyrean Kongxi was enveloped by the light, and an ethereal river of destiny appeared above him, stretching endlessly and vigorously roiling. The heavenly destiny of ceremony acknowledges its master, it will be forged any time now, Zealand Valley is about to collapse. Run quickly. Feeling this scene, everyone immediately realized something was wrong and looked up in unison. Zhang Zan too couldn't help but look towards the sky. He saw huge cracks appearing in the firmament above, like a deflated gas membrane or shattered glass dome. With the destiny inherited, the Heaven Mandate domain can no longer hold. Zhang Zan suddenly understood. He had encountered this situation twice before, once at the Fu family, and the other time at Mo Bei's home. Whenever someone completely inherited it, the domain would shatter and cease to exist. The resources and strength born within would melt into nourishment, enhancing the cultivation of the inheritor of the fragments of heavens. How do we get out? How do we escape? Although they knew this world was about to collapse, no one knew how to escape. Everyone was anxious but clueless. The entrance was too far from here, and without the ability to use strength, depending solely on their physical bodies, it would take 3 to 4 hours to reach, and there clearly wasn't enough time now. Rano's not escaping, and waiting for death was obviously not an option either. I will give you a chance. Just then, a faint voice came from above. Everyone looked up and saw Empyrean Kangxi enveloped in light, gently shaking his head and flicking his finger. Swish! A small crack suddenly appeared before everyone. Behind it was the scene outside the Heaven Mandate domain. Seeing the crack, everyone knew they had no choice but to leave or die there. Without saying more, they rushed forward. Move aside, I'm the first to go. Get out of my way, I'm going out first. The crevice was narrow, allowing only one person to pass through at a time. In their haste to escape, people began fighting one another, and in the blink of an eye, the scene of escape turned into a chaotic battleground. Previously, when they fought over the bronze tripod, not too many had died, but now, bodies kept falling one after the other. Zhang Zan frowned deeply, and after a while, he couldn't help but look up at Empyrean Kangxi. Not far away. Since you've already obtained the inheritance of Zhou Ji, why wait until the very end to come out? This was something he had never been able to figure out. Since Empyrean Kangxi had acquired recognition and could even control 4 bronze tripods, there was no difference between appearing 3 days earlier or 3 days later. In fact, whether these people were allowed to come here or not didn't make much of a difference either. Why wait all this time and even risk them killing each other? To inherit the heavenly destiny of ceremony, one naturally has to perform sufficient rituals. Empyrean Kangxi figured out his thoughts and spoke. Sufficient rituals. Zhang Zan was taken aback, his pupils suddenly constricted. What you mean is? Exactly, a blood tribute is needed. And they are the offerings. Empyrean Kangxi shook his head. Humans die for wealth as birds die for food, it's their choice. Zhang Zan fell silent. Rituals, not only comprised various intricate rules but also involved reverence towards the heavens and the powerful, as well as restrictions on human nature. Truly strict rituals, in offering to the heavens, required not just the placement of artifacts but also sufficient lives. This referred to human sacrifice. Empyrean Kangxi must have understood the heavenly destiny of ceremony and lacked only the final life offering for recognition, thus intentionally drew people here and gathered them all in this place, using the bronze tripods to incite them to massacre each other. No wonder it was said Emperor Shen Ling was not destined for this. Because from the beginning, his fate was set. No matter how hard he tried or how much he sacrificed, he was just a pawn in Empyrean Kangxi's inheritance of the divine mandate. Upon reaching the mountain peak and not seeing Empyrean Kangxi, he guessed all these reasons, thus letting everyone fight over the tripod, indifferent to the outcome. However, he wasn't sure at the time. Now seeing Empyrean Kangxi admitting it, he was certain. Yes, it was their choice. If not for the greed in their hearts, how could they have died here, and how could they have become sacrificial offerings in someone else's design? Teacher, do you know him? While he was reflecting, Yu Xiaoyu, Lu Mingyu, and others looked towards Empyrean Kangxi with awe, disbelief in their eyes. After arriving in Zui City, although they had been cultivating in seclusion, they were not completely ignorant of outside affairs and had heard about the Mandate Chaos Master, and knew the kind of reaction their appearance would provoke throughout Heaven Mandate Hall. If he was indeed the Mandate Chaos Master pursued by the Heaven Mandate Hall of Zui City, and was so familiar with the teacher, even joining forces just now to kill Emperor Shen Ling. Could it be that the teacher was also a Mandate Chaos Master? Empyrean Kangxi and I are both teacher and friend. Zhang Zan smiled slightly. The 3 disciples looked at each other, unable to speak anymore. The teacher's words had already explained everything. Ha ha ha, the so-called Mandate Chaos Masters are just a title they concocted out of fear. Guessing their thoughts, Empyrean Kangxi smiled slightly, looking at Zhang Zan. Teacher Zhang, long time no see. Leaving the Empyrean and the New World together to come to this place, this was technically their first meeting in the Source World. Zhang Zan smiled lightly, looking back and spoke softly, Empyrean Kongshi, long time no see. Volume 2 Empyrean Kongshi, long time no see ends. Please look forward to the next volume, This Destiny, Unnecessary. In the silent mountain forest, Yu Xiaoyu looked at the chaotic mess on the ground, a hint of pity shining through her bright eyes. These people from the Zealand Valley, not only did they lose all their resources, but they also lost their lives. Each of these corpses, if taken out individually, would be considered quite illustrious in Zui City. They risked their lives for the chance to obtain treasures and to improve themselves. Yet in the end, they would remain here forever, never able to leave. Enough with the sighs, better think about where you guys should go next. Just then, a voice rang out from behind. Yu Xiaoyu, Lu Mingyu, and Hong Yi turned their heads simultaneously, only to see their teacher, Zhang Zan, stretching and approaching lazily. Just now in Zealand Valley, the acquaintance with Empyrean Kongshi effectively acknowledged his identity as a Mandate Chaos Master. He wanted to hear the three disciples' decision. Of course we'll follow teacher. Lu Mingyu, without any hesitation, puffed up her slightly youthful chest, her eyes resolute. This time, I won't make the wrong choice again. We feel the same. Forget being a Mandate Chaos Master, even if teacher were a murderer, a thief, we wouldn't leave. Yu Xiaoyu, adorned with bells, flashed her pearly white teeth. Who are you calling a murderer? Zhang Zan was speechless. Listen to how you're talking, making me out to be some unforgivable criminal. I, Zhang Zan, am a trustworthy and honest young gentleman. Back on the master-teacher continent, who didn't admire me? I'm with my two senior sisters. Hong Yi also spoke up. All right, go bury these bodies. After Empyrean Kongshi emerges, we'll make a decision. Zhang Zan gestured with his hand. Okay. The three disciples nodded at the same time. There were no less than 1,000 experts who entered Zealand Valley this time, but less than 100 managed to escape, and they were more or less stripped of everything, a truly miserable fate. Yet it was the opposite for Zhang Zan and his few disciples, whose cultivation had made considerable progress, earning them a huge windfall. What about you guys? He looked toward Fu Qingyao and the others. After leaving Zealand Valley, they had not been in a hurry to depart but had waited until Fu Yingying and others appeared. We're waiting for Yingying to fully inherit the heavenly destiny, then we'll head back to Qingqiu Mountain. After a moment of silence, Fu Qingyao said. As the heir to the Fox Charm destiny, it was naturally her greatest wish to return to her clan. Zui City was just a temporary settlement where they found a little peace. Rano S. After sending the others off and dealing with the bodies, they waited for over 2 hours before the space in front of them twisted and a tall figure came through. How did it go? Zhang Zan asked with a smile. Empyrean Kongshi shook his head. Second-level heavenly destiny isn't so easy to comprehend, it looks like it'll take some time. At this moment, his aura was hidden within the source pool, his eyes emitting sharp lights, carrying a cold harshness, and his cultivation realm had clearly broken through the galaxy 6 Dan, reaching the 7 Dan level. Knowing that the higher the fragments of the heavens, the harder they are to comprehend, Zhang Zan asked, where to now? Having killed Prince Shen Ling, Shi Yunjing, and Mo Bai, they obviously couldn't go back to Zui City, or else troubles would surely follow incessantly. Moreover, the origin chi and resources of this place were not sufficient for their further advancement. They had to move on to a broader world, to experience a more vast stage. Cultivation is a process of constantly defying fate and changing one's destiny. Being timid will only lead to stagnation and ultimately, mediocrity. All those left alive will ensure our actions become known to others. Whether it's the Mandate Chaos Master or second-level heavenly destiny, it will cause a great upheaval. Rather than waiting to be found, it's better to head directly to the central region and deal with it then. Empyrean Kongshi gazed into the distance with a profound look in his eyes. To minimize troubles and eliminate future threats, one should have eradicated all knowledgeable parties back in Zealand Valley. Regrettably, it was an action none could bring themselves to do. Killing without cause, uprooting the problem completely, unless one is extremely cruel, no one would be able to do it without any psychological burden. Central Region. Zhang Zan asked, puzzled. Empyrean Kongshi nodded. It's the core of the source world and where fragments of the heavens converge. Empires, sects, all kinds of destinies, and an endless stream of geniuses. If you want to cultivate rapidly and make fast progress, that is undoubtedly the most suitable place. Alright, let's go to the central region. Zhang Zan nodded. After 3 days of practice, he realized that the progress of his Yuking destiny was slowing. To reach the 4th level, he indeed needed certain opportunities and experiences. And such opportunities can only be offered where there are more geniuses. Heaven Mandate Hall Headquarters, Wanxiang Sect Headquarters, Medical Sect, Buddhist Sect, Artifact Sect, all of these are located in the central region. This is truly the most spectacular and rebellious place in the source world. Here, experts of the Life Sea realm are dime a dozen, and the Galaxy realm is not even worth mentioning. Empyrean Kong Shi shared the information he knew. Within the inheritance of the heavenly destiny of ceremony, there was not only the succession of strength and rules but also a part of memory. The records about the central region came from this source. Zhang Zan nodded in acknowledgement. It seemed that Zhao Ya and the others were likely brought there. Once they arrived, there should be a chance to meet or find them. After hesitating for a moment, Zhang Zan asked, "The central region must be quite far, should we just walk there?" Walking there would waste years, which is far too time-consuming. I've heard that there's a teleportation formation near here in Zilling City. If we can use it, we should be able to speed up our travel. Zilling City. Zhang Zan nodded. He had heard of the city before. It is the capital of the Zilling dynasty. Using an aerial origin beast from Zui City, it would only take 3 or 4 days, which was indeed not too far. Hold on for a moment, Zhang Zan smiled slightly, looked in a direction, and called out. Soon after, a massive aerial origin beast came roaring across the sky. It was the black-scaled phoenix hawk he had previously tamed. After entering Zealand Valley, he had let it rest in the surrounding area. Now with telepathic communication, it flew straight over. Your cultivation is too weak now, and your flying speed is not fast enough. I have some Forge a grade -1 pill and resources here, make progress quickly. Zhang Zan smiled lightly as he sent a pile of resources flying into the beast's mouth. To fly faster, it naturally needed sufficient strength. The black-scaled phoenix hawk was previously only Ling Baiyang's primordial beast. Although it was considered a primordial beast, its bloodline was very weak. Fortunately, this trip to Zealand Valley yielded countless resources, and bestowing some of it could improve its foundation and serve better. With the help of the Library of Heaven's Path, he checked the beast, and after it swallowed the materials, it indeed made significant progress. In just a few hours, it gained the strength comparable to a warrior of the Galaxy 5 Dan. With this kind of power, its flying speed was more than twice as fast as before. Only then did Zhang Zan and the others mount the beast's back and charge straight toward Zilling City. Upon their departure, the secret of Zealand Valley was uncovered, and the news of the heavenly destiny of ceremony being forged spread rapidly, causing the entire source world to be thrown into turmoil. There are a total of 8 first-level destinies and 24 second-level heavenly destinies in the world. Suddenly, the emergence of a new one meant that a massive power was about to rise once more. Ps. A new volume, Mountains High and Rivers Long, May All Be Well, begins. This volume was conceived while writing Heaven's Path 1, involving a shift in Zhang Zan's ideals. It is challenging to write, but I, Laoya, will strive to write it well. Central region, the vast and towering Lingzhu Mountain, an ancient Zen temple resounded with slow and dull bell chimes. The many Buddhas sat upright beneath the Bodhi Saint tree, worshipping the high monk in the middle. The founder of the Buddhist sect, Buddha Shijia. The heavenly destiny of ceremony has once again emerged in the world. Blue Cloud Venerable, take a trip outside, find this person of fate, and invite him to join our sect. Blue Cloud Venerable stood up with his hands pressed together. I will heed Buddha's decree with reverence, but, if he is unwilling, what should be done? A resounding voice replied, he has a connection with our sect and will surely come. If he does not, it proves he is unworthy of the inheritance, just bring the fragments of the heavens back. Yes. Blue Cloud Venerable's expression became serious, his voluminous monk robes rustling as he turned and disappeared from the mountaintop in the blink of an eye. Amitabha. Great kindness. All the monks put their hands together and chanted softly. Ellipsis. The headquarters of Heaven Mandate Hall. Yuan Sheng Palace Master stood atop the lofty Heaven Mandate Hall which reached into the clouds, overlooking the entire city. Zhou Ji was once so defiant and unbridled without regard for constraints. Unexpectedly, he would have such a contingency in place. At that moment, a middle-aged man came over and bowed with clasped hands. Should we recruit this individual? Yuan Sheng Palace Master shook his head. There's no need for now. Rest assured, others will be more anxious than us. The middle-aged man hesitated, then said, according to the information I've gathered, the one who acquired the fragments of the heavens is very likely the same Mandate Chaos Master that Heaven Mandate Hall was once hunting. Mandate Chaos Master. Yuan Sheng Palace Master slightly frowned, then nodded. Pass the message to the inheritors of propriety, funeral ceremony, military ceremony, courtesy, and celebration. Tell them, the appearance of the supreme secret technique of the heavenly destiny of ceremony, whether to follow or steal, is for them to decide. Yes. The middle-aged man nodded and descended from the high tower. A Mandate Chaos Master without any foundation, hoping to inherit second-level heavenly destiny, not knowing if it's good luck or bad luck. Hands clasped behind his back, Yuan Sheng Palace Master looked into the distance. With the first time, and now a second time, I fear it won't be possible. Even if I agree, others will not. Rano e Diaresis. Ellipsis. Within the majestic and grand royal palace, the vast hall stood, lined with numerous ministers on both sides. A middle-aged man in golden dragon robes sat in the center. This is the most powerful empire in the source world, the Yuan. And the one seated at the center is the most powerful man in the world, Emperor Fusheng. With fingers resting on his knees, Emperor Fusheng squinted his eyes, emanating an oppressive force without anger. A successor to the heavenly destiny of ceremony has appeared once more. Ren Chuyao, since music and ceremony are one, you shall be responsible for persuading him to recruit him over. Yes. A woman with a beautiful figure took a step forward, cupping her hands in obeisance. Your Majesty, I fear this person might be as rigid as Zhou Ji was before, set in his ways and unteachable. A minister stepped forward and said. Emperor Fusheng's expression was neither sad nor joyous, willing to accept our recruitment, offer him sufficient respect and decorum. Unwilling, don't say he has not fully inherited the second-level heavenly destiny yet. Even if he has, making him disappear wouldn't be too troublesome. This official understands. The minister realized and spoke no more. Ren Chuyao's gaze flashed as she retreated back into the crowd without another word. Ellipsis. The same scene played out among the many powerful clans that influenced the source world. A second-level heavenly destiny was rare. The sudden emergence of an heir immediately drew the attention of countless individuals. Many life masters grew excited, searching everywhere for this sudden lucky individual. Fragments of the heavens could be snatched before full inheritance, hence, those capable of passing on destiny nearly always had the backing of powerful clans or massive gates. To fight alone, it was already luck to obtain a 4th grade or 5th grade destiny, let alone a 2nd grade one and still retain it, would not be so easy. Therefore, as soon as the news was out, countless powerful individuals raced towards Zui City. However, as soon as Zhang Zan and others left Zealand Valley, they had made a decision not to return. Otherwise, they might have already been trapped within the city and unable to escape. Empyrean Kong Shi, what exactly is a Mandate Chaos Master? And how did you become one, hunted by others? Atop the eagle, Zhang Zan looked over curiously. He arrived in the source world around the same time as Empyrean Kong Shi, yet while he was still a puzzled coachman, the other had become a hunted Mandate Chaos Master. It was somewhat unfathomable to him. Although he had heard explanations from Ling Baiyang and others, he still didn't quite understand. Empyrean Kong Shi explained, I'm not quite sure about the details either. It is said that several decades ago in the source world, a breathtakingly talented individual emerged. Without heritage or foundation, he comprehended an extremely formidable heavenly destiny out of thin air, causing those in control of power in the source world to be overturned. Most importantly, this person did not respect the changes in fate. Lacking an exact destiny, even trying to find him would be impossible. Does not respect the changes in fate. Lacks an exact destiny. Zhang Zan hesitated, then nodded. Indeed, we are similar to this individual. As masters of their own realms, their destiny was interwoven with the new world, impossible to infer or investigate. More importantly, Suddenly appearing with no identity, how could one have a foundation or inheritance? Having lived in the source world for so long, he was not ignorant. Every heavenly mandate has its corresponding inheritance and forces, even alliances. Just like the nobility from his previous life, they had already formed a hierarchy. For a grassroots individual to suddenly appear and wish to change their destiny, displacing a set number in fate and becoming one of them would naturally provoke collective backlash from the elite. I didn't know this when I arrived. Empyrean Kangxi detailed his experiences. Unlike his arrival in the remote Bian city, Empyrean Kangxi appeared in Zui Royal City and within just 2 short days, discovered a treasure trove, which allowed him to comprehend the method of transforming origin chi and reach the galaxy realm in one leap. Appearing abruptly with exceptional talent, he soon drew the attention of many, becoming a guest of numerous clans. He did not skimp on sharing knowledge, giving lectures, and recording his experiences, enticing many who had already chosen their destiny to willingly abandon their previous mentors and follow him. The result was chaos in Zui City, forcing Heaven Mandate Hall to step in and suppress it. Later on, almost everyone knew that despite numerous attempts, Empyrean Kangxi remained unharmed, while Heaven Mandate Hall suffered great losses. Increasingly many experts appeared and he had no choice but to flee, inadvertently breaking into Zealand Valley. He thought he would perish there but never dreamed that he would unravel the mysteries of the Heaven Mandate domain and gain Zhuji's recognition. Fortunately, it was a divine realm formed by the heavenly destiny of ceremony. Had it been any other, such rash intrusion could have been fatal. After listening to his story, Zhang Zan sighed, an idea emerging, perhaps, this is also the will of fate. Otherwise, having both left the Empyrean, why would he end up here, and I in such a remote place? Heavenly destiny is not only about capability but also a specific trajectory within fate that no one can escape or avoid. Often, it is preordained and ineffable. Take Empyrean Kangxi for example, who cultivated Confucianism and established numerous rules of the master-teacher continent. He abided by propriety and perfectly aligned with the heavenly destiny of ceremony. Because of this, he was not sanctioned by the rules but, instead, benefited from his misfortune, which would not have been the case for anyone else. Violate the rules 4 times, and be directly erased. The rules in Zealand Valley are as numerous as cow's hair. Even speaking loudly is not allowed, without prior knowledge, not to mention 4 times, even 40 times would probably not be enough to waste. As for later, the fact that Shi Yunjing, Mo Bai, and others could last until the end was because most of the rules in Zealand Valley had been deciphered by Empyrean Kangxi, and the remaining rules were no longer as fearsome as before. Otherwise, not to mention those at Galaxy 6 Dan and 7 Dan, even a cultivator at the Life Sea realm would fear a journey of no return if they carelessly entered. After explaining his own matters, Empyrean Kangxi looked over. Hearing his inquiry, Zhang Zan recounted all of his experiences after coming to the source world, which made the other party nod repeatedly. He thought his own experiences were thrilling enough, but found the other parties to be even more magnificent. The heavenly destiny of ceremony is a second-level destiny, followed by many. This senior named Zhuji should, by rights, have countless disciples, so why did she die here alone and without causing any waves? More crucially, over all these years, has no one sought her or attempted to forge it? Zhang Zan was full of doubts, puzzled. Mo Bai's Mo Dao was only a 7th-level destiny, and he had countless disciples and followers. Simply by adhering to rites and etiquette, one could not avoid the shackles of this kind of destiny. Yet, the founder died in such a secluded place without any disturbance, and the Heaven Mandate domain formed here was left unguarded. The whole situation seemed odd. Empyrean Kangxi said, as for the specific circumstances, Senior Zhuji did not leave any clues, but according to my speculation, it is very likely she was killed. As for Zealand Valley, every year countless experts enter to try forging it, but all return without success. If not for these people, how could the valley possibly possess such dense spiritual energy, such numerous artifacts? Zhang Zan had an epiphany. If Zealand Valley was regarded as a whole, its operation and maintenance of the rules over the years depended precisely on killing the intruders. The black-scaled phoenix hawk flew for an entire day, and a majestic city appeared within view. Ziling City and Zui City were not much different, stretching countless miles with no end in sight. Before even landing, he saw throngs of people bustling about on the streets. Empyrean Kangxi, to avoid trouble, I think we should change our appearance and names. Zhang Zan suggested with a laugh. Of course. Empyrean Kangxi nodded, and both his appearance and body shape transformed. Moments later, he was half a head shorter and looked a dozen years younger, around his 30s. Creating a new world just like Zhang Zan, Empyrean Kangxi could exercise all the abilities Zhang Zan could. Altering appearances and covert soul searching were just the simplest of uses. Zhang Zan's face also undulated and changed into the likeness of his brother-in-law, Luo Xuanqing. As for Yu Xiaoyu and others, they had been taken into the suspended realm long before and were not here, so there was no fear of being recognized or detected. The black-scaled phoenix hawk landed slowly. At the city gate, Zhang Zan glanced at this beast pet and with a thought, the connection between them was instantly severed. From today on, you are no longer my beast pet. You are free. They were heading to the central region. To say nothing of whether the teleportation formations could transport such a large creature, even if they could, there was no need. If he wanted a beast pet, he could just tame one on arrival. Although the black-scaled phoenix hawk was obedient, its strength was too weak and no longer of much help to him at present. Chirp! Understanding his intention, the black-scaled phoenix hawk let out a reluctant screech and flew away towards the distance, eventually disappearing into the horizon. Entering the city and settling down at a tea house, discussions about Zealand Valley could be heard everywhere. That's a second-level heavenly destiny, to think someone forged it just like that. That's like ascending to the heavens in a single step. It's said that Prince Shen Ling of the Zhouyi dynasty has been killed, and they are currently issuing a manhunt for them. Manhunt. They are happy to issue it now, but once that person completely forges the destiny and becomes a supreme expert, the Zhouyi dynasty might as well cease to exist. Ziling City wasn't too far from Zui City, and the news had already spread. Although some details were still somewhat unclear, the main narrative was about right. It's said that there are many rules inside Zealand Valley. As long as one abides by them, they can obtain countless artifacts. The treasures inside emerge in an endless stream. Among those who went this time, there was someone named Zhang Zan who had just broken through to the Galaxy realm when he entered, but left at the peak of Galaxy 6 Dan and even killed a cultivator at Galaxy 7 Dan. What Galaxy 7 Dan? I heard he killed someone at Galaxy 8 Dan. Many people's eyes revealed envy. After listening for a while, realizing the discussions were just messy rumors, Zhang Zan shook his head and addressed one of the most voluble persons with cupped fists. Esteemed sir, the two of us would like to use a teleportation formation to go to the central region. Where should we head? Teleportation formations. Wanxiang sect has one, just go directly there to use it. The speaker was a man in his 30s, rather plump, with a receding hairline, looking from a distance like a steamed egg. Wanxiang sect. Zhang Zan was enlightened. Indeed, Wanxiang sect encompasses everything. If one were to ask where in a city there was a teleportation formation, this place would definitely be the first choice. That's right, that tall building over there, just walk towards it. However, such long-distance teleportation formations only operate once a day and must wait for enough people to gather before they can be used. If you want to go there, you need to make a reservation in advance, otherwise, I'm afraid there won't be any slots available. The steamed egg-like man was very enthusiastic, loudly explaining. A reservation is needed. Zhang Zan was taken aback. Of course, everyone wants to go to the central region. Which cultivator doesn't want to go there? Even if they can't stay long, just a glance would be good. I've been there once, it's teeming with experts, and you've never before seen such food or entertainment. Especially the women, they are so many and so beautiful, dazzling to the eyes. To be honest with you, I just walked around the streets once and fell in love with 8 different girls in a row. The steamed egg-like man laughed. Falling in love in a row, that's just being lecherous. Zhang Zan was speechless, but his face showed little emotion as he stood up and cupped his fists. I thank you, brother, for the information. With that said, he and Empyrean Kangxi strode toward the towering building in the distance. The architecture of Wanxiang sect is largely uniform, towering into the clouds, divided into 7 layers, with the ground floor being the most expansive, as it hosted the sale of weapons, destiny plates, medicinal herbs, and other such resources. The place bustled with activity, teeming with people coming and going. Having inquired for directions, they approached their destination. The teleportation formation was built within a colossal palace, surrounded by colorful ancient ruins both deep and shallow. Teleportation, being a branch of the space-time destiny, the construction of such a place not only allowed for the transportation of beings, earning substantial wealth, but also facilitated the spread of destiny, attracting more people to practice. Teleportation costs 500 destiny plates per person, per trip. An armored guard responsible for protecting the teleportation formation blocked the way of the two travelers. Zhang Zan's tongue was tied in shock. No wonder so few people used this mode of transportation despite its availability, the price was indeed steep. 500 destiny plates were equivalent to 5 million units of heavenly mandate vitality, enough to buy a mansion in the most luxurious area of Xiling City. Fortunately, this trip to Xilan Valley had yielded some gains, otherwise, even someone like him would have struggled to afford it. Here's mine. After recovering from the initial shock, Zhang Zan flipped his wrist, and a pile of destiny plates appeared in the palm of his hand. The guard nodded, and looked towards Empyrean Kong, only to see him looking back awkwardly. Brother Zhang, I don't have any destiny plates, I'm relying on you. It had been agreed upon earlier on the Eagle's Back that they would no longer address each other as teacher, but as brother. You don't have any at all. Zhang Zan was stunned. I've always had disciples to handle these matters, and never concerned myself with it. Empyrean Kong waved his hand. As a teacher, it is proper for disciples to offer tributes. This, said Zhang Zan. He had thought that since the other party had inherited a second-level heavenly destiny, there would be no shortage of such a thing. To his surprise, he now had to ask for it himself. Zhang Zan felt somewhat helpless, but did not say much. He took out another 500 destiny plates and handed them over. Go over there and wait. Once we have enough people, we'll activate the array. The guard handed the two a tutelage jade token, pointing them to a location. Zhang Zan and Empyrean Kong entered and found themselves in a spacious room filled with over a dozen individuals of varying ages, both young and old. Upon their entry, these people swept them with a glance but soon paid them no further attention. Unperturbed, Zhang Zan found a corner together with Empyrean Kong and settled down. This trip to Xilan Valley had brought rapid progress, and it was a good time to digest and contemplate his gains. The first advancement was in the Yuking destiny. It had directly leapt an entire realm, from second realm peak to third realm peak. Initially, he had entered the path through emotions and acquired deep insights. After merging with destiny, although there was a gap, they could still interconnect. Even though the progress was swift, the foundation was extremely solid, with a subtle sensation of imminent breakthrough. At this moment, he possessed ample heavenly mandate vitality and training resources. As long as his destiny could break through, advancing to Galaxy 7 Dan or even higher would be a simple matter. Next were the Fox Charm Destiny and Mo Dao Destiny, both having reached 4th Realm Peak. Although they weren't his primary destinies, as the levels increased, they greatly aided his comprehension of the Yuking destiny at the 4th level. Inside the Library of Heaven's Path, many destinies were like vast, unceasing rivers, and Yuking destiny was like an alley that connected them. Although it didn't provide a supply of water, it enabled seamless communication, allowing vessels to pass unhindered. In other words, as a medium for the Yuking destiny, one could make better use of and borrow the power of other destinies, merging them into one. Could it be that the Yuking destiny has surpassed the 2nd level? Zhang Zan wondered curiously. The higher the level of destiny, the more universal its applicability, and the better it could be propagated. Just like Empyrean Kong's comprehension of ritual, anyone who promoted, learned, and adhered to rituals would benefit him and offer assistance. Among the 8 first-level destinies, Origin would boost one's strength with every additional person who cultivated using Origin Chi. Although this strength was minuscule, like a cow's hair, accumulation over time could one day unleash boundless power. This was akin to the belief systems in the sects of his past life. The more followers a faith had, the stronger the practitioner who comprehended that destiny. Emotions arise from people. As long as there are people, there are the 7 emotions and 6 desires, making its universality broader than that of ritual. People can exist without rituals, but not without emotions. If that's the case, could the Yuking destiny be a first-level destiny? Indeed, if that's true, he would understand why it takes so much heavenly mandate vitality to advance each level. The higher the rank of the destiny, the more satiated and vast the river of destiny becomes, and to fill it up, naturally, requires more than what a lower-ranked destiny can provide. Yuking destiny is rarely fused with Modao destiny or flowing light heavenly destiny, but it's fused more often with Fox charm destiny. Could the two be compatible? After looking carefully for a while, Zhang Zan noticed something off. Although Yuking destiny is also connected with other destinies, it is more frequently linked to Fox charm destiny, even showing a tendency to merge and converge. With a thought, he placed both types of heavenly mandate vitality together and exerted pressure. With a boom, the forces that were somewhat fused completely converged, forming a unique gas that whirled at the fingertips, slowly flowing. What is this? While he was contemplating this with curiosity and intending to study it further, an unpleasant voice rang out. Move aside. The speaker was a middle-aged man in his 30s, with a beard around his mouth and phoenix eyes, emanating a gloomy look in his pupils. Opposite him was an old man and a child about 7 or 8 years old, currently sitting by a window. It seemed they hadn't expected anyone to come over and force them away. They all looked a bit stunned as they turned to look. We should move aside. The old man was puzzled. There were plenty of empty seats in the hall, at least a dozen, available everywhere. Why was it necessary to fight for theirs? Moreover, everyone was just waiting for teleportation, and it wouldn't be long before they had to leave. Even if someone fought for a seat, they probably wouldn't be able to sit for too long before having to leave. Indeed, Brother Lu and I plan to sit by the window. Move aside immediately, and I won't take it to heart. If you don't comply, beware that you might not get another chance. The middle-aged man snorted coldly. It's just a seat, there are windows. Over there too. The old man pointed to the side. There were 4 or 5 places with windows in the room. Even if their position was ideal, it was not worth others forcibly seizing it. What's all this nonsense? The middle-aged man snorted coldly and swung his hand, delivering a slap. Snap! A crisp sound echoed. The old man didn't have time to react before a slap landed on his face, causing it to tremble and leaving a bright red handprint. At the same time, he fell to the ground, blood streaming from the corner of his mouth. Grandpa, Grandpa, the child called out anxiously. Little brat, get out of the way. After slapping the old man away, the middle-aged man did not stop there but continued to step forward, glaring over. Don't hurt Grandpa, you're a bad person. The child stood in front of the old man, anxiously crying out. A bad person. An ignorant fool. The middle-aged man snorted coldly and kicked out. Before the child could react, he was sent flying, landing heavily on the ground. Zhang Zan's eyes narrowed. He couldn't stand to watch the elderly and children being hit, but he wasn't clear on the specifics of the situation and it wasn't convenient to intervene for the time being. Honger. The old man hadn't expected his grandson to be hit. He hurried over, helped him up, and then looked warily at the middle-aged man, retreating as he said, We'll give you the spot, we'll go over there. Now you decide to give it up. It's already too late. Sneering, the middle-aged man stepped forward, unleashing a powerful oppressive force, revealing himself to be a Galaxy 6 Dan expert. Annoy us, and you'll have to pay. The middle-aged man declared. Pay, money. The elderly man clutched the corner of his clothes. Yes, not too much. Just 2,000 destiny plates, and I won't hold this against you, the middle-aged man snorted. The old man showed a pleading look in his eyes. 2,000, sir, my grandson and I are just ordinary people, we don't have that many destiny plates. Don't have them. With a raised eyebrow, the middle-aged man extended his hand forward, snatched the storage ring from the old man's hand, and with a forceful pinch between his index finger and thumb, a surge of strength burst forth. Boom. The storage ring exploded, and a pile of destiny plates fell to the ground, exactly 2,000 of them. Once a master's storage ring is crushed, the items inside will spill out. You said you didn't have any. Where did these destiny plates come from? The middle-aged man gently grabbed with his palm, collecting the destiny plates into his own storage ring. Please don't, this is our money for emergencies, please give it back. The old man's face turned pale in an instant, and he hurriedly reached to grab them, but the other party didn't give him the chance, kicking him away. You ungrateful dog, biting the hand that feeds you. After securing the destiny plates, the middle-aged man huffed and walked back to his seat. Struggling to his feet, the old man knelt and clung to his legs. Sir, please, this is really our emergency money, please give it back. Shut up. As his shouting grew louder and more people began to watch, the middle-aged man's expression darkened. He raised his hand, about to slap again, but felt his arm suddenly gripped by a hand as firm as an iron hoop. Turning his head, he saw it was the young man who had been sitting not far away. Kid, I advise you to mind your own business, or I assure you won't see tomorrow's second sun. The middle-aged man narrowed his eyes. Oh, you can control the weather now. So it's going to rain tomorrow, is that it? The young man smiled, seemingly unaffected by the threat. The middle-aged man was close to losing his breath with anger and coldly explained, I mean you will die here. The youth replied, oh, then you're overthinking it. I'm in good health, free from illness and disaster, and should be fine for a while. Stop bullshitting if you don't want to die, let go now. The middle-aged man knew the other was just spouting nonsense, and with a cold huff, he exerted strength in his arm. In a blink of an eye, a gust of wind surged up, causing the surrounding air to buzz. Raw Epsilon S. This kid's in for it now. It's obvious that guy saw how much money the old man had, that's why he's picking a fight. Who dares to do this here? They must have powerful backers, and anyone using teleportation formations is likely from out of town. Why meddle in others' affairs and ask for trouble? Low voices rose around. Ignoring the people's words, the middle-aged man continued to raise his hand, but the young man's hand was as if firmly welded to his arm, unmoving, letting him run his strength wildly to no avail. No wonder you dare to meddle, you do have some strength. Realizing this, the middle-aged man scoffed and suddenly thrust out his other hand. At this moment, a dagger with a grayish blade emitting a cold chill appeared in his palm, causing an involuntary shudder even before it struck. The young man, unconcerned, lightly tapped his hand. His movement was graceful, like a divine crane picking grass or a swallow capturing mud. With just a gentle touch, the dagger landed in his hand. The next moment, with a snap, a hand bone broke. Ah! The middle-aged man's face immediately turned pale, and anger flashed in his eyes. How dare you hurt me, you're seeking death. In a fit of rage, he kicked out. But he didn't reach the other party, his knee buckled, and his leg bone broke. The young man before him, young in age, seemed like a whirlpool, devouring all the forces directed at him and feeding it back with even greater power. You. Injured again, the middle-aged man realized the other's strength far surpassed his, but he was not scared. Instead, he stepped back and shouted. People, come here. With his shout, a group of armored guards rushed in, the ones guarding the teleportation formations. What's all this noise about? A guard leader clad in golden armor, holding a long saber, strode over. Reporting to Household's Commander Shen, I was seeking to discuss matters with these two, and while conversing amicably, this fellow suddenly interfered, attacking and injuring me. I hope the commander can administer justice for me. The middle-aged man hurriedly spoke. Amicable discussion. Interfering. The young man was speechless. Having seen people misrepresenting the truth before, this was his first time encountering such blatant fabrications. This was naturally Zhang Zan. Although he knew that meddling might not be ideal, he couldn't stand watching bullying happen right in front of him. This guy, using his strength to bully others, stealing their property, I couldn't stand it and intervened. Zhang Zan explained briefly. Sir, he's lying. You've known us for many years, as you know, I've always abided by the law. I wouldn't even dare to kill a chicken, how could I possibly bully anyone? If you don't believe me, you can ask them. The middle-aged man looked to an elder and a child beside him, his voice carrying a severe tone. Tell Household's Commander Shen, have I bullied you? You must tell the truth. If you falsely accuse me, not even gods could save you. This. Hearing his threatening tone, the elder hugged the child and involuntarily took a step back. Don't be afraid, just tell us, what exactly happened. Seemingly oblivious to the middle-aged man's threatening tone, Household's Commander Shen nonchalantly said. Our grandchild and we did have a matter to discuss with this gentleman. It wasn't bullying. The elderly man gritted his teeth and finally spoke. Zhang Zan frowned. Old man, don't be afraid of his threats. As long as I am here, I will certainly seek justice for you. He didn't threaten me, it's you, always meddling. The elder showed a hint of panic and hurriedly spoke. Household's Commander Shen, you heard it, this guy disregarded the rules and attacked me here, his crimes are utterly heinous. Seeing the elder speak thus, the middle-aged man relaxed and a cold smile appeared in his eyes. Please take action to teach him a lesson, to uphold the authority of the Wanxiang sect. HMPH. With a cold snort, Household's Commander Shen raised his hand. Take this guy down, interrogate him thoroughly. Zhang Zan explained. It was this man who robbed their belongings, I merely intervened with good intentions. Household's Commander Shen looked over with a cold face, took a step forward, and with a pressing gaze, said, Are you suggesting I am framing you? The end. Your feedback is appreciated.